What's up, Rangers? Welcome to the Geek Chest. My name's Steve, and today in this Unimportant review, we have the Godzilla -1 color from Super 7 on the tiny table because I'm a little lazy to get the big table out right now, and I'm currently in the process of working on some commissions, which this is actually a commission. So this will be getting touched up. So I'll be doing some of the paint on it a little bit differently. For instance, the scar doesn't really show off very well on the face. A few other things, could use a little bit more colors here and there, so I'm going to be working on that. So I figure we do the video, because I never actually ordered this color in particular. I actually was going to get the regular release, but decided to cancel it because I'm also getting the regular release to do some paint work with too. So honestly, for me, I'll be honest, I wasn't really going to buy it for myself. Because I have the Monster Arts one, thought that'd be kind of cool, but figure we still review it for you guys since it's going to be here anyways. And with these unimportant reviews, they are unedited and go up on our Patreon in advance. So if you guys like to help support the channel, link in the description, help donate today. Also, if you guys, I guess we can save the shill if you want to buy these kind of figures later in the video. Also, I just smacked my camera and there's a giant hair floating around my office. Servo was just in here, so he's kind of left a little trail. But anyways, this is based off of the black and white look in the film. Hopefully I kept the brightness on the camera up a bit so it doesn't blend in with the background, hopefully. But for the packaging here, you do get the gray, blacks, and whites. For the box, you get the cool image of Godzilla here on the side with the very artsy style smoke back of the package. More of the same with the giant G top. You get the clear plastic so you can see bottom, some legal mumbo jumbos. You'll see there's no insert because the insert wasn't sent with it, oddly enough. So it was kind of rattling around the package a little bit. I had to straighten the spines afterwards, but that was pretty easy. Just used a heat gun. And then when you apply some heat, it kind of straightens itself out for the most part. But anyways, for its accessory, it does come with an extra head, which you do get the closed mouth here. Which one of my, I think, biggest nitpicks on this thing is just kind of the way the paint job was applied to this. Because, for instance, he should have a scar on the side of his face. Do you see a scar anywhere? I know it's black and white, so you only really get like shades of gray, but there should be like a bright gray on the side of the cheek here to show the damage. On the side, I guess you could say this maybe is like pre-damage, but I think a regular release has that damage, so I would kind of assume the black and white one would too. The paint job on the eyes, at least on this one, are solid. It's pretty much just gray with a black pupil. There is a different shade of gray around the eye. It's one of those things that's hard to notice. Like if you're looking at it super hard, you can see the detail difference, but just kind of staring from the back. I take it my wife and child are above us. You can hear the creaking in the house. Teeth are painted okay on this one though. There's some nice separation. As you'll see on the open mouth OG head, teeth are fine. Honestly, better than I've seen on some. I've seen some of these images for this guy that it kind of looks like almost bootleggy. The eyes are a little bit googled on this one. Nothing too crazy. If anything, I think it's just, as I say, the placement, these eyes are looking more forward while this is looking more straight on, so it definitely stands out a little bit. For the paint job, pretty much just primarily black for the entire figure, and then dry brush with different shades of gray, so you get a darker gray for the body, lighter gray for some highlighted sections here. Kind of wish there was a little bit more going on with the stomach region, though, because it looks super dark here. And I think they should have done black, a dark gray dry brushing throughout, and then added the whites here and the lighter grays here and there for the detailing, especially like the spine region and what have you. Leaving it on the stomach is kind of odd. Also, they used a hard plastic for the stomach, and it really reminds me of a Playmates figure. And I'll be honest, it kind of makes it feel a little cheap on the section here. Because there's definitely, at least on the black and white version, there's a noticeable difference in the plastic quality. And it kind of shows off, because I would say it's kind of got a bit of a glossy paint job to begin with, but the plastic here is especially shiny on the figure, because it's hard plastic here, hard plastic on the top, and then it's more like traditional, like what you'd expect with like the Hayas and the neck of Godzilla's here. And I kind of wish it just had that consistency throughout. Because to me, it's even... They do a better job at Playmates of conveying the detailing on the body here, but there is a noticeable dip in the quality and the texturing between the center body and the limbs here. Which honestly kind of sucks a bit. Which is one of the reasons why we're going to be painting this, to kind of make it more consistent and kind of blend the details a little bit better. The rest of the figure's got some really nice sculpted detailing though, especially... Sounds like a warpath's going on upstairs. Oh, gotta love these unedited ones. Usually I get to cut all this out, but you guys get the lovely advantage of hearing how my house sounds on a regular basis. Oh, but the detailing on the head looks solid. He's got no spikes going along the back here of the neck. It's very flat, and then you get to the dorsal spines here. Now, thankfully, they're not as fragile as they are on the monster arts, because they do have a bit of flex to them. I would still be worried about applying too much pressure on these, snapping them. So if you do go to articulate the chest region, you're going to want to move it forward and then rotate it and then set it back into place before you want to. But all that looks solid. Spikes along the tail look really good. Detail-wise, like I said, it looks really good overall. I just kind of wish they would have maybe used the same plastic throughout, just so that the details would stay throughout. And I don't know why, like, you spend so much effort making all these look good, and then the center section, you're just like, fudge it. let's release this with a little bit more dumbed down quality to save a little bit of money. And I would say that's probably my biggest complaint. Like I said, I don't really like this being the hard plastic here. If the entire figure isn't going to be the same thing. Because, again, it just kind of makes me feel a little cheaper. That and just having an overall glossy paint job, dude. I just don't quite understand why they're so consistent with giving us these things. Because it's probably the biggest complaint of all these figures is always having a glossy paint job. Ever since the original release. And then they kind of went away with it. And now they're back. I don't know why they're back. So, wish it was a matte paint job. Wish I had the same plastic throughout. The paint job could maybe, again, be a little bit more concise in some of the sections, because just like I said, this is super dark in comparison to the rest of the Kaiju here. And it'd be nice to be able to see, like, different paint jobs for, like, lighter texturing for the scarring and what have you. Like, I think that it could almost be a little bit brighter in the end. But for articulation, pretty solid overall, where you get head can look up and down. Each of these are on ball joints, so get decent side to side. You can pretty much rotate all the way around. Same with the neck here, you get a lot of side to side. You only get technically waist articulation at the chest here. This is an entire one solid piece, which might have been nice to maybe had a waist section here too that could pose. Though granted, it makes for kind of a weird cut, because you probably have to have this middle section here just be the one dorsal plate and then a cut here. Granted, they probably could have just changed how the cut was here too. But it would have been nice to maybe have like a more proper waist articulation instead of just the chest region here. Arms can rotate all the way around. Rotation at the bicep. Go up about that far. Down about that far. Single jointed elbow. Hands can rotate and are on a hinge. So they go forward and back. Legs go outward about that far. Inwards about that far. Not too much of a forward kick. Decent back kick though, and you can kind of wiggle it there. Got the single jointed knee. No real rotation at the knee, but the feet can rotate side to side. Forward and back. And then for the tail, which I will say, compared to some of the Heisei tails, it's definitely better in terms of poseability, because you get an okay amount of play. Problem is, this thing doesn't stand worth a damn. And I've even tried removing plastic here in order to expose the ball here more, so hopefully it would go into the socket better. But because of how shallow this section is, it just doesn't like to stay in there. So it'll attach, but like once you start moving around, it flops out, and it's not really a good way to fix it. Also, again, this joint is hard plastic, and when trying to put this in here, it started removing bits of plastic here. You can even see some of the sections here. The only thing I actively did was remove the plastic here. So when you get yours, it won't look like this. It'll actually have more plastic there, so it falls off even easier. So again, I kind of wish this was deeper. And again, if this would be the same material as the arms, it would have a little bit more give to it, which would kind of help a little bit there too. So again, really hate the use of the hard plastic on here. I don't think it was a very good idea. Again, I don't mind personally spending a little bit more money just to have some more consistency, sort of like with the Haya figures. Granted, it's a much bigger figure, but you figure this is $60. You get more jointed sections, and the plastic is consistent throughout. With this, you actually get less articulation, and the only real benefit is just the upscale sizing. And I think it would help with the detailing for the stomach region here. So for me, overall, honestly, I would say the Monster Arts is the better one between the two. Which kind of sucks because looking at the prototype photos, this thing looked like it was going to knock it out of the park. And then once we get it in hand, and it's fine, but I'm just not wowed by it. Which I was expected to be wowed. As per what the prototype photos looked like. So, yeah, like this version in particular, I can't really fully recommend because it's just like the aftermarket price on this too. Because initial release was like $85, and now you're probably looking more in like the $200 range in order to pick this up, and this isn't even close to being worth that. Like 85's pushing it for me. If it was, there's more going on with it, and again, if it was like this, I would be like, even if it was just felt like the Haya, 85 I think would have been fine. Way it sits, honestly, I think it could have probably been in about the same ballpark price range, especially since the only extra accessory I got was the head here, which honestly could just be an extra joint and save us on extra plastic for the head. So again, it's like cost measures. I think it just this being jointed, and then maybe could have invested in different plastic for the body. Granted, probably not worth the same amount as what the head would be, but still, I just wish there was more going with it. But anyways, you can help us defeat those kaijus by hitting the like button, subscribe, become a ranger today. Hopefully the color version, hopefully I have a bit more of a better impression on that. But even from what I've seen on that thing's glossy too. And I'm assuming the body's going to be mostly the same. So we'll have to wait and see. If you guys like the pickups of Super 7 Godzillas, I'll link in the description for entertainment. Or if you can help support the channel and get yourself some alright figures. Honestly, for Super 7, the ones I would recommend is the Thermal Godzilla and the Destroyer. Those things were phenomenal. Everything else has just been satisfactory. Outside of the Biolante. The Biolante I still say is pretty hot garbage. But anyways, we also got a Patreon, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Guys, like you able to do what you know, donate. Greatly would appreciate it. Make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe, become a ranger today. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye. Shinji's snoring over there. He's hiding on a blanket. That's the sound you're hearing. Sounds kind of like a pig. Bye-bye.